Kendrick Lamar says, sit down. Better believe I'm sat. Let's get into it. We start with Samuel L. Jackson playing Uncle Sam, and he's welcoming us to the great American game, which baby girl is not referring to football. Which we know because up until now, the flashing numbers in the stands have been counting down to the start of the game, and the stage is designed to look like a PlayStation controller, symbolizing that Uncle Sam has control over the game. Lights shine onto Kendrick, and he says, the revolution will be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy. Now, the first sentence is obviously referring to the famous 1970s poem by Gil Scott-Heron, the revolution will not be televised, which is a phrase that used to indicate that major societal and social change often happens outside of mainstream media coverage. Kendrick revising that statement to the revolution will be televised is indicating to us as the audience that he is about to instigate major societal change at the biggest media event in the US. The second sentence, pick the wrong guy, could either refer to the president or to himself as the choice for the Super Bowl halftime performer because he's about to stir some shit up. His dancers emerge and they're wearing one of three colors, red, white, or blue, and the group in red collects together on the stage and starts doing a dance move that some could argue resembles a hand movement that was made infamous in the 1930s in Eastern Europe and then 2 weeks ago in the United States of America. Which leads us to this dance formation of the American flag, but split down the middle, symbolizing a country divided. But not before Uncle Sam gets angry and yells about it being too reckless and too ghetto and asks Kendrick, do you really know how to play this game? In response to which Kendrick starts performing, sit down, be humble, because that's what America wants black people to do. Kendrick teases not like us for the first time, and he does this a few times before he actually performs it in full, which is brilliant because he's leveraging his 5-time Grammy Award-winning diss track to, one, publicly shred any remaining vestige of self-esteem that Drake might have had and unquestionably declare victory in their beef, but two, also continually remind the players in the game that Uncle Sam is not like us. He even wears the A minor necklace and the 70s activist bell-bottom jeans throughout the whole performance to remind people of those two goals. Speaking of whom, Uncle Sam is mad that Kendrick isn't behaving or sitting down and being humble, so he gives an order to take a life. And if you need the symbolism of that explained, well, this might just be too advanced a class for you. In response to that, Kendrick says he's going to slow it down, symbolizing that he's about to get in line. And that's reflected in the formation that his dancers take at the time, because they're dancing out like this, and then they start to get in line. And then SZA starts performing, and the mood of that is very peaceful and conforming as opposed to the reckless and ghetto of the rap before. Immediately transition into a slower, coordinated choreography for All the Stars, which is from the Black Panther soundtrack, which has its own cultural significance, but because it's pop culture in Hollywood, people know it, so the crowd goes wild, and Uncle Sam's like, yeah, this is what America wants, don't mess it up. So naturally, Kendrick's like, I'm gonna do exactly that, and he says three things. The first is there's a cultural divide, self-explanatory. The second, 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. 40 acres and a mule was a promise that the American government made as reparations to black people following the American Civil War that was never kept. This is bigger than the music is referring to the fact that there were debts that were never paid and the oppression is systemic. Number three, you can rig a game, but you can't fake the influence. My interpretation of that is that the judicial system and societal structures in the US are so corrupt or rigged that they have institutionalized racism to the point that it's almost impossible for anyone but white folks to succeed. And despite that, black people continue to strive and demonstrate excellence. And then with the background audio track of Not Like Us, we see all of the dancers except for the inner circle die with a flashing message in the audience that says, warning, wrong way. At the end of that verse, Kendrick says, beat your, but hide the Bible if God's watching. And I interpreted that to be his commentary on religious extremists in this country committing sins against black people. And then, as if he hasn't already put on an absolute masterclass, he finally performs Not Like Us, which speaks even to the people who don't realize how meaningful the rest of his performance has been so far. And he does the diabolical, hey Drake, and really seals the deal on that victory beef part. He closes out by saying, turn the TV off, and the lights go off and the words game over flash in the audience, reminding people that it's time to actually turn these TVs off and take that revolution to the streets.